I had a good time playing with the text in this project and playing with ways to make it prettier and also help it to tell the story that I was trying to tell with the other parts of the image. And I had a couple of happy accidents and had some fun along the way, so I want to talk about that here. Now, the first thing to note about this text is that I actually did this on 2 layers. I could have done most of what you're seeing on the same layer, all the stuff, all the animation and stuff like that. The reason why I separated it is because when it was on the same layer, the bevel and emboss created a bevel between the M and the A, and I just didn't like the way that that looked. And also the stroke did not obviously go over this line as well. And so it was just kind of like this big kind of weird hole right here that really called attention to itself. So I wanted to separate them so that I could get, again, that solid bevel edge and also the stroke edge there. So let's go over to my starting project here. And here we have just like the simple text. So I'm going to actually select the AGIC text, the AGIC, and this is without any kind of anything applied to it. One of the first things I wanted to do was increase the size of the C. I really liked how in this example, there's this kind of like this font with this M has this like gorgeous kind of curve right here. And then by bringing the C lower, it kind of paints a picture in your mind's eye of a curve, like an S curve that's kind of going up. And then this M is kind of pointing it back down. And then this C kind of like points it up again. And I like that kind of like that elegance there. And the AGI kind of recedes into the background as the M and the C, the capstones of this word kind of take that curve. I like that. And we just don't get that this way. It doesn't feel the same when it's all just part of the same thing. So I selected the type tool and selected the layer. And then I wanted to select that last letter, that C. And then I wanted to adjust its size, a little bit of rotation maybe, its position maybe. And so I came over here to animators. And this is, I think, the better way to do this. I typically use animators, and we've used them already in this training series, to animate like a series of things over time. And I actually don't want to animate any of the things I want to change about the C, but I'm still going to use an animator, and I'll show you why. I'm going to hit the plus icon, and here we tell Autograph what properties we want to animate. So I want to animate the scale value for sure. And so automatically what's happened is I have an animator, and this is where the properties live. The properties live on the animator, and the range says which parts of the text that the animator is affecting. And so when you have a character or characters selected, then when I select the range value, you could see that it's already changed the units. This like light blue text indicates that something changed from there, its defaults. So normally when you apply an animator and you don't have anything selected, then nothing has changed from its defaults. But because I had that letter selected when I created the animator, then it changes the units to index, so it's more precise. The selector is more precise. And then it says start and end changed to 3 and 4. So this is kind of 3/4 of the way there. This is selecting my C. So now when I go back to the animator and I adjust the scale, actually I don't want separated properties. I'm going to change this to single. So I just have a single scale value. And then I bump this up. And now we are increasing just the size of the C. So I really like having an animator for this, because anytime I want to adjust just the C, then I can come back here and adjust this. As a matter of fact, I'll just hit the enter key and rename this C adjust. And now when I come back here to this plus icon here, I'm adding attributes to the animator, but not changing the range at all. So I can go and add position and maybe even just a little bit of rotation. So basically now I can go in and move this over, and I can move this down. I think I rotated it just like a little bit, just like -1, just a little bit. And so now I can adjust this manually, resize it, whatever I want to do here. And I can always have access to these properties, which is really nice, very handy for me. I could do the same thing here with AGI. instead of adding the plus icon with C adjust, I'll go back to the top animator here. And let's say I'll add an animator for letter spacing. So then I can adjust, just like with C, I'll actually select this and hit enter and type AGI. So I know this is my AGI adjuster. And I can adjust the letter spacing. I could bring these closer together, farther apart, whatever I want to do. And again, it only affects those 3 letters, which is very handy. And then when I want to adjust the opacity, for example, I can come back to the animator, add another animator, and make sure nothing is selected here. Choose opacity. And now when I adjust the range, let me take opacity down to 0 here. As I adjust the range, take start up from 0 to 100. We are fading this text in, and all those letters are affected because we didn't have anything selected when we created the animator. Now, let's talk about how to make this text look better. I'm going to select my adjective text because there's a little bit more to it there, and I'm going to close up the text area, and I'm going to add a modifier. I'm going to add a gradient modifier first. Let's let that be the base of everything. I'm going to zoom out here, and I'll put the black kind of towards the center and the bottom. Take this white one. There we go. I can zoom in there. I mean, that looks kind of cool as it is. I'm going to open up gradient, and breaks my heart, but I'm going to double click this black and get this kind of maybe like a deep purpley color. And that looks really cool too. Geez, everything except what I want is looking amazing. And I'm going to take this pink. Well, actually, that looks kind of like cool too. I spoke too soon. This gradient's just actually kind of fun. Okay, so let's say there. And I could always come back later if I don't like this, but that looks pretty cool. And just because it's going to drive me crazy, I'm going to right click on this, edit, copy, and then I'm going to go over to my magic text, and I'm going to add a gradient here as well. And then I can go ahead and paste this. There we go. And actually, I think what I want to do is right-click on this and choose Paste Shared. That way, these are linked, and anytime I adjust anything on one of them, then both of them are adjusted. So if I decide that I want to do some other wacky gradient, then the adjective gradient is adjusted along with the M1. That Paste Shared, I'm telling you, that is just such a great feature. Now, on this modifier here, I'm going to go ahead and add a bevel emboss. Bevel emboss. That was a cool effect, I think. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and do that same paste share deal so we could see it on all the text. I'm going to do bevel emboss. There we go. And we'll do edit, paste, shared. So it's all the same. Now, I'm going to change the direction from up to down. I want this lit from the bottom. I'm going to take the size up to 15. Actually, let me scroll that so you can see what that is. This is basically saying the size of the bevel. As we take this down to a low value, we're just kind of like right along the edges. As we increase this a lot, we bring this into the center, and that's really what I wanted. Again, about 15 works. Yeah, that's good. And then I want to adjust the angle so that that light value looks like it's kind of coming from the bottom. And that looks pretty good. Kind of like from the side a little bit. Because if it's straight from the bottom, then we're missing some of those highlights. So yeah, around there it looks pretty good. Yeah, it kind of makes it look like it's, over a campfire telling a ghost story or something like that, having it lit from the bottom. Like there's some kind of like magic welling up from the bottom of the earth. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of other settings here you could play with, depth and altitude, but I think for the most part, this is really where the trick lies. I'm actually going to undo that. Now, initially when I was making the text, I also created a bevel alpha modifier, added a bevel alpha modifier. I really liked the way that this played with the edges. And again, I wanted this angle to match, kind of like it's like lit from the bottom. It kind of just like enhance that effect. And maybe I would take down the thickness so it's not all the way against the edges. It's just kind of like a more faint little edge glow. Yeah, I really do like that. But then what happened was when I decided to add the stroke, that kind of covered up these little tiny highlights. And so it made it so it wasn't worth it anymore. But Goodbye, Bevel Alpha, we hardly knew ye. I'm going to go to stroke, which I love that there's a separate stroke effect. Comes in so handy. And I'm going to take down the size of the stroke to like 3.5. There you go. And I'm also going to go ahead and copy this, go back to my M, add stroke, and I'm going to go ahead and copy, paste, shared. Paste, shared. So now anytime we adjust anything, we are set. And actually my adject text, my C, needs to be selected all the way here. My range, I need to go back. There we go. So we don't have any partial transparency in our text. And I think the final effect here, I just want to add some glow, the stock glow effect. I have these red giant glows, but I'm just going to use the native Autograph glow here. I'm going to take down the minimum highlights a little bit, and I can leave the size where it's at and then increase the gain. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And then finally, again, of course, let's go ahead and copy and paste it over to the M. I mean, I can't even imagine doing this without this like paste shared thing. It would drive me crazy. But thankfully with this feature, no big deal. Now, one of the fun things that happened was this happy accident with my text because of the nature of both the glow and the stroke. So as I go to my, let's see, am I on the right layer or the adject? Yeah, okay, and I'll go to my range for my opacity. And as I take this down, you see what happens is because there is a stroke, if there are any pixels at all, it's kind of pushing it to white. And then the glow is also adding this glow as well. So then we get this kind of like softened, kind of weird emerging bevel effect that kind of like emerges from the white. So we get like a flash of white. So we have a few pixels here that aren't that great, just kind of like a faded, embossed thing. But then what happens is that the glow kicks in, and then the bevel comes in and the color comes in over the top. So we have like a really cool growing on effect that again was a happy accident. I didn't realize that was going to be the case, but adding a little bit of extra glow on top of that kind of made that effect really cool. So let's look at the final version of this and see that what I'm talking about there. Yeah, see how that's coming in there? It kind of fades in letter by letter, but it feels magical. Feels like it's kind of like revealing itself. And I think that really went well with the theme of the thing. Next, we'll look at another cool text effect, the wiggly selector.